Okay, welcome. And this training is how to perform a soft shipping and receiving cutoff in Oracle in prod in the days prior to the physical inventory. We do this because it is very hard to isolate or identify transactions in Oracle that are system errors compared to actual transactions that are pending, because there's a lot of moving pieces. It is hard to isolate those, so we asking the warehouse managers to perform this type of queries and comparisons to be able to identify any system errors prior to the shipping and receiving cutoff, because otherwise any pending transactions will prevent you from freezing your file and start your count process for the physical inventory. So we'll go through some queries the DC managers can do to minimize those type of errors the day of the physical inventory. So the first thing you can start is by looking at any pending transactions that you may have and compare them to the actual pending transactions you have in the warehouse form. And the way you do that is go to your inventory management, material transactions, and pending transactions. So I'm going to do a different warehouse. I'm going to do Illinois. So again, inventory management, material transactions, pending transactions. And then you just click find here because you want to find everything that is open and pending. Alright, so that was quite fast. So that means that there is no lot of pending transactions in Illinois. So as long as your cursor is in any of the items, you click file and export. Continue to the end. Okay, so it's taking a little bit of time. That means that maybe it's pulling a lot of records. Okay, so once the export is completed, you want it to be in Excel. And these are all your pending transactions. We have a sum of 27,818 tires. And we have a total of 3,914 transactions. So what we want to do is verify that in fact all these transactions are open. So you scroll all the way to the right. And row AP, it may be different for you depending on your Excel or how you download it. But in this case is my row AP. I have the source and it has the order number followed by some text after the order number, but I only care for the order number because if I separate the order number, I'll be able to do a VLOOKUP with transactions in my warehouse form to be able to find out which ones are errors. So what I do is I just insert a column to the left and I'm going to call this order number. and I'm gonna do this formula, which is equal left parentheses, right click so I can grab AQ, then comma 8, and what this argument is telling the file is to bring from the left field 8 characters. Right, so 8 characters because 8 is the number of characters in our order number. So once you do that, you just copy it down, and then because you want to be able to format this as a number, what I do is copy this and right click and copy the values, and you do that to get away from the formula that we typed, because that was kind of preventing us from converting that to a number. Alright, so now you have these little green marks here. You just click down and select it all and convert this to a number. There you go. Alright, so we have this, and I'm gonna file this as save as workbook Illinois, and I'm gonna name this something that I'll remember later, so just pending transactions. Okay, so I have my pending transactions here now. I'll go back to Oracle, and I want to compare those to the actual transactions that I know of. And the transactions that I know of are the ones that I'm working on in the Falcon Warehouse transactions. So you'll go to your warehouse transactions, Illinois, and just click find to bring everything that is open. Alright, so you want to deal with all this that doesn't have a delivery number or a trip, because that's a possible error, but right now I'm not hunting for that. As long as it is in this form, I know that it's actually pending. That's another set of problems here, but that's a different subject. So I'm looking for this, and all these orders are on my form, and I want to compare the data in this form versus the one we just extracted. So I'll go to File and Export, continue to the end, open it, and I'll just move it to the file that I had open earlier. So I'll move it to Illinois, move it to the end. So I have the two files together. So I just rename this something else, warehouse form. You just want to do this so you know something you remember. Again, so because we want to compare the order numbers here with the other ones, we're just going to make sure they are the same format. So here I just select the column of the order numbers and change it to be a number. And I don't need that. You can delete this. And now we're going to do a pivot table for both. So I'll go to pending transactions. Select all of your data. In case you guys don't know how to do that, it's just Control Shift to the right and Control Shift down. Pivot table. Find the order number, because that'll be our number of reference, and the quantity. So again, in the pending transactions we had a total of 27,000 tires. Now I go to the warehouse form, I do the same thing. Control Shift right, Control Shift down. Well, there's empty fields here, so make sure you have all your data though. insert. I'm gonna put them in the same sheet so I can compare them next to each other. So go to sheet 2, anywhere here. And you have the order number and the quantity. For some reason it brings it as a count, so just click on the field, right click, value settings, and change that to a sum. I don't know why it does that. Alright, so when we compare the two, there is a small delta. The warehouse form has 27,799, and we have here 27,818. So we want to find out which ones are different. So for that I do compare here. I do a VLOOKUP. I'm looking for the order number, and I'm looking at here. And when I find that value, I'm going to bring the second field, which is the column G, and I want to find only exact matches. Alright, and then you can just identify which ones are different. So here you can just do the difference, I guess. So when you're doing a calculation against a field and a pivot table, you have to actually type the cell number, otherwise it's gonna keep the same cell. I don't know, I'm not going to go into details, but when I'm comparing this field versus this one, you cannot just do this minus this. Because if you look at the formula, it's always going to pick up this cell. Right? So to avoid that, instead of doing this like the sales ones, you just click the actual cell number. So C4 minus B4, and copy it down. Alright, so here well, you just have to find out the ones that are not zeros, right? There you go. Right, so it looks like from Illinois we have these orders. There are errors. Again, so you have those two. Have another one here. And that's it. Alright, so it's not that many, but it's 3 transactions. If you don't identify them before the shipping and receiving, you know, the IT department is not always available and you are running against the clock. So it's very important that you identify this before the physical inventory. So Carlos, I will send you this file so you can address them with customer service.
Thank you, Hector.
Alright, so that'll be for the shipping form. Other parts that you need to check are that you don't have anything inbound for transfers. So you go to your receipts and check internal and click find. So you have inbound transfers, You want to make absolutely sure that you are able to receive these prior to Wednesday or the days before the physical inventory, because there is going to be absolutely nothing in transit. All right, so because we know that you probably have transfers that are actually in transit, you just want to make sure that you receive them and that you are aware of. All right. And same thing here, you probably want to do an extract because you don't want to have anything in the okay, this is kind of weird. All right, so Carlos, it looks like you have an error here or something that is pending, because this very first line, if you look at the date, it was from January of this year. So you have 35 tires that you still have to receive for whatever reason. So you want to close those. Right, so let me do an extract here. But I don't think it's going to give you the... Alright, so... No, it's not giving you the date. So you have to look at it, the details. And I'm saying this because in this extract, it's not giving you the date. Correct? I was only able to identify it because I saw the difference between the requester, thus calling my attention. So you do that kind of stuff. So the moral of this extract right here is that you have to go line by line and make sure there is a recent transfer that you know that is coming to you. And like in this example, we have one really old, so it may be an error or something the warehouse messed. So you have 35 tires you have to deal with. So you want to tackle that before the PI. What else? Go to your material workbench and click find in the on hand. And then click your organizations and on hand, and you should never have anything in STG. So you have items in STG, means that something is stuck in the system. So if you see this, contact customer IT department and have them look at whatever is in STG because they need to clear it out. So out of Illinois, you have 20 tires stuck in STG. So you're only supposed to have on hand an HLD, OSK, and out. Right? STG is an error. Alright, so you have a couple of things to deal with out of Illinois. And last, you need to check that you don't have anything pending put away. So you go again to your material workbench, change this check mark instead of on hand to be receiving. And here you'll have to manually check the quantities, because you have a bunch of stuff in receiving. You just want to make sure that these are in fact tires that are pending put away, because after you receive the product, it goes into receiving, and from there you put it away. So you can do an extract here. Well, this is not an extra, you copy all rows. And then you can just go to any Excel and copy and paste it. Oh crap. Well, never mind. You'll just have to compare those quantities here to make sure that those are tires that you actually in the process of putting away, because nothing's supposed to be in receiving the day of the PI. So I don't know if it's very difficult for you guys to also just wait one day and just receive put it away and then compare this. You want this to be empty. All right, so those were the things that I will check if I were you, to make sure that I don't have anything pending in the system that will be preventing me from freezing my file. Let me stop this recording and answer any of your questions. Hold on.